Yeah.
So this is a piece of art. It is called Thangkas. I'm sure you've all come across a version of this somewhere. And this came into my life in April 1998, when I had no clue about the spiritual journey and spiritual work. I was very much in my corporate life and, living the mainstream life. And a friend of mine who I consider like a spiritual guru behen, she's like a teacher to me. She said some monk had come down from the monasteries up from Tibet, and he was selling these pieces of art. And he says, go ahead and buy one. It's good value for money. It's like, it's art to buy. I had no clue that it was spiritual power and not just art. So there were a bunch of them, but this one particularly spoke to me. So I bought it. From the day it came home, my life turned upside down to the point that it was unreal. Everything that was up until then successful started failing, especially at work. And, I thought to the point that I might even get fired, even though I was doing the best work of my life. And I started questioning, who am I? Why am I here? What does success mean? What is the purpose of life? Meanwhile, I told my mother, I said, everything's going crazy. I can't make sense of it. So she's a very innately intuitive woman. She said, did some spiritual object come into your life recently? So I said, well, I bought this thing called a Thangka, and it's a Tibetan thing. So, she said, oh, take it down and give it away, like that's the cause of it probably. So I did wonder, should I give it away? Is it the wrong energy? Sometimes what seems like spiritual object can contain the opposite energy in it, right? Which we know. Something made me not give it away. In fact, I tried giving it away. It would keep coming back until I finally realized I need to now live with this, and it needs to now make sense to me. And over the years, I asked so many experts, what is this Thangka? What does it mean? No one was able to give me an answer until I went into a relationship with it. And over time, like a seed, it started germinating in my own body, mind, my own psyche, and unfolding meaning that was very archetypal for me, to the point where I now feel I can share it in a way that is more universal than just for me. When I was sharing this with Kiara, he said, Nilima, you should talk about this on one of our calls. I said, okay, let's do that. So this is what I see when I now look at this piece of art. First thing you notice is there is heaven above and there is earth below, right? So then there is a square which is perfectly contained in a circle. And these are all very powerful metaphors. Like the whole point of the Bodhisattva's life is to be able to, live between heaven and earth, right? So that is one. The square represents the physical earth element, matter, and the circle represents spirit. So the capacity to perfectly circle the square and then square the circle. So there are circles inside, and Ranvalo Melchizedek has talked about this as this union between spirit and matter, which essentially is what the human being is here to experience, that harmony, that balance between heaven and earth. And the forces that we have to overcome that the Buddha talked about, right? Talked about Kama, Mara, Maya, the three archetypal forces that were stopping the lower self, so to speak, the shadow self that was coming in the way of Buddha's awakening that he had to overcome. So here is Kama, here is Mara, which is Yama, the god of death, and Maya, she's kind of blowing that illusion, creating this illusionary world. So once you overcome the threefold fire of Kama, Mara, Maya, and you rise above it it's almost as if this circle and square and these elements inside represent the X-ray of our integral being and all the selves within us that need to be harmonized and integrated around a center, right? In a way that we perfectly balance spirit and matter, heaven and earth. So here is, to me, this is also perhaps the mandala or the map or the skeletal structure, the energetic field of a bodhisattva who knows how to be in the world but not of it, because that being has fully actualized himself or herself and yet is still here to help others. So interestingly, even though your more sattvic nature, which is what to me these white beings are, help you overcome your threefold fire, on the other side, it's not like you enter the gates of heaven without a threshold guardian who is going to stop you and check, are you worthy? So here are these very, they look like the malevolent deities, not the benevolent deities. They're here to check whether you truly have what it takes to experience these higher states of consciousness. And interestingly, below what were three individual entities, here have turned into three circles like three trinities. It's almost as if the Rajas, Sattva, and Tamas nature, each one has to triangulate itself into an internal harmony for us to be able to hold a higher state of consciousness and not be in their own individual spheres, so to speak. They are three together. So these are all ways in which this has made meaning for me. As I go deeper into this, the center is our core self, our central being, Jivatma, soul, whatever term you have for it in your tradition. Interestingly, there are four beings around it. And then there are 8 in the next circle, and then there are 12 in the third circle. So if you look at it from in Buddhist point of view, the 4 could represent the 4 noble truths. The 8 could represent the eightfold path. I'm not sure what the 12 represents in Buddhism. Maybe one of you knows and can share here. The other thing I did realize is these are archetypal diagrams. So they don't have to follow just one tradition or lineage. Any other tradition can also map onto this. So when I think of the integral yoga of Sri Aurobindo and the mother, in the center of mother's symbol is Aditi, Adi Shakti. And around that are 4 powers, Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Ma Saraswati, right? And then around there are 12 qualities in the mother's symbol. Sincerity, humility, gratitude, perseverance, aspiration, receptivity, progress, courage, goodness, generosity, equality, peace. So if you can map on to those 12 qualities that we practice in order to unlock our 4 Shaktis of wisdom, strength, harmony, and perfection. So then I said, what are these 8 doing here? Which is this blue layer between the inner powers and the outer qualities of Shakti or of the divine. Interestingly, in the Radha, in the Vaishnav tradition, they talk about the Ashta Sakhis, that Radha Rani, who represents that incredible quality of the divine beloved, the beloved of the beloved, who alone has the capacity to rend the veil of separation until the lover and the beloved, Atma and Paramatma, experience themselves as one and not two. And apparently, this Radha, Haladini Shakti, has got 8 supportive energies or Sakhis who together help her actualize her full potency. So I was curious to look at this inner layer, this middle sandwich layer that connects the inner divine Shaktis with the outer human qualities. These are 8. So, if we could also look at who these 8 qualities, the Ashtasakhis, are, if we are drawn to the more heart-based, divine love-based path, these could bring us some very beautiful, potent energies for our sadhana as well. Then there are these 4 gates on the 4 sides. Again, very interesting. We talk about the fourfold self that needs to be navigated and overcome in order to come into our fullness, Eros and Thanatos and Logos and Mythos. And once they flip, they become the wisdom, strength, harmony, and perfection that then take us into our divinity. Same thing again, Kama, Mara, Maya, Vidya, being the lower forms of these energies, which through the practice of higher emotions and higher qualities of human nature, then these 4 drives can become our 4 powers that help us towards a rainbow body in this life, So maybe I'll stop there, and I'm happy to hear any comments from Kiara or I'm not sure Nitya is still on the call. He had said he needs to leave at some point. But I'd love to hear your comment on this, because when Kiara and I were speaking, we realized we want to achieve rainbow bodies, but what does that take? Internally, what does that look like? How do all the powers that we are made up of, how do they organize themselves around our core, around our center, so that our spirit is materialized and our matter is spiritualized? And could this be a map that's showing us what does a rainbow body look like, or how do we get there? Is this essentially a map to get there?
In Shaivism tradition, they speak a lot about the tattvas. The tattva, literally tattva means that. So it's many that's that create who we are. So it's not just that as in transcendental thatness, but also that which is this. Every aspect of that which is here and now, within creation, within matter, as well as every aspect of ourself that creates this bridge between that and this. So, looking at this, I can see, there's all the different elements. And you can look at it in terms of the medicine wheel. Each element is represented by direction, represented by a certain energy, the goddess energy or the masculine energies. But it's about the balancing. They all come together within the center. Between the earth and the sky. So you have the earth elements, the fire, the goddesses below, and then you pass through the fire, those two flames before you can go up to the heavens. And I think this is very much about the dark night that we call the journey through the underworld. And I think in terms of this intensity of this particular moment, this lunar eclipse, the diving into the shadow, I think it's very much about going through the fire. I'll tell you a dream that I had some time ago. In the dream, I was in a village, and some of the people in the village had become infected with some kind of a virus, which I realized afterward was really about the virus of unconsciousness. And so, what do? Nobody knew who were the people who were actually infected with the virus and who were the ones who were not. So what ended up in the dream was every single person in the village had to go through the flame, had to walk through the fire. And it didn't matter. But as you went through the fire, you became whole. And then those who had been infected by this so-called virus were actually the ones who had to go through the gateway. And it was an initiation, an alchemical process, so they could find themselves. And the ones who were not infected were also likewise needing to go through the flame, meet the guardians on the threshold, as it's called in theosophy, and find the true self. So then as you go through this, then you find that wholeness, the three goddesses above, the three in one, the trinities. I mean, it's a very broad painting, but the journey belongs to each one of us. How do we each find our way through the shadows, through the flame, find our initiatory journey, the alchemical fire, and then discover the truth of who we are, within the cauldron of eternity. It's like, yes, this is our journey. So in a way, this Thangka is our journey. It's our individual journey, it's our collective journey, it's our planetary journey, it's our cosmic journey. And it's looking back to Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, it's the journey of embodiment, where a supramental force can come all the way from the externals into the center of our true identity, and transform everything. So I mean, I can see the Thangka from different levels, different perceptions, and it doesn't matter how we see it. You know, the the function of any Thangka or yantra is to come into the center, is to bring all those energies that you see, that you identify with, all the different bats, and come into the center, unify them all together, and there you find the self. And I am then is not just I am in that separateness, but the I am in its wholeness. So it includes our bodies, it includes our emotions, it includes our minds, it includes our stories, it includes all the aspects of ourselves that we have forgotten or neglected or feared. And it includes our light, our beauty, our joy, our divinity, wholeness through all of it. So I think in a way this is a Thangka that you can really meditate with. You know, maybe Nilima, if it's possible to share that image and people can download it, then it can become a tool for meditation. Amongst other tools, I mean, this is a journey that we're on. We cannot avoid it, even if we wanted to. So growing into maturity, going into wholeness, going into the center of our being. So what calls me right now is those two flames in between heaven and earth. That's the flames that we're passing through at this time.
Thank you, Kiara. So beautifully, you synthesize so many different traditions and ways of looking at, the true nature of reality. And ultimately, as to just sum it up for me, it's a map of wholeness and how do we become the integral being, right, around our center, which can hold the whole and balance all polarities, all dualities, spirit, matter, heaven, earth, inside, outside, in a harmonious way, so that nothing's still left in the shadow. But Mother says nothing is to be rejected, everything is to be integrated and harmonized. So this feels like such a beautiful map of internal harmony. And when we talk of the chant of the Buddha, right, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, coming to, this is like an internal chant through this Thangka, then may I come to that Buddhic consciousness in which this whole self integrates and is held together, and in service of the outer world, the inner and outer get organized. Dhammam Sharanam, so in service of the way, this is also modeling the way in which that is to be done. Then Sangham Sharanam Gacchami, which is, we don't just have a Sangha on the outside, but we are made up of so many inner selves, that inner constellation. So how do we organize the inner Sangha, in a way that is dharmic and Buddhic, in its expression? So maybe we will close today's day whenever we're ready with chanting that as we look at this, holding that energy in our space. If you don't have anything more to add, maybe we can chant the Buddham Sharanam as we look at the Thangka and make that our practice for the day, with the intention of aligning ourselves within as much as we wish to come into harmony with all the polarities around us. So focusing on the center, holding the whole in your mind's eye, in your heart space. Take a deep breath and allow the center to come into your own being, the center of your own heart. And as you exhale, allow your whole being to pour into the center of this Thangka and expand into its aligned blueprint energy. Inhale, receive this aligned energy into your being. And exhale, allow all your energies to flow into this blueprint so that they too may get integral and aligned and harmonized as this Thangka. Connecting with each other across the planet, with every breath, connecting with the hearts and souls of all the members of the Rainbow Body Sangha. Let this beautiful metta, loving kindness, flow out from your heart to all the other members of this Rainbow Body Sangha, to all humanity, to all sentient beings. May we be well, may we be happy, and may we be free from all suffering on this powerful portal day of the Buddha Purnima. May we open to receive the grace to rise into our fullness. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. You can chant with me. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Fifth and last time. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Calling on the Divine Mother Tara, the mother of all the Buddhas, to take us from this world of samsara into the nirvana, so that we can experience nirvana here in this samsara. 5 times. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. 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 We will close with invoking Pragya Paramita, that highest state of Mahakaruna that can hold us all together. The Great Mother herself, of wisdom and compassion. Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamugate Bodhisoha Teata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamugate Bodhisoha Teata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamugate Bodhisoha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May the healing response be experienced in states of deep sleep, and may the sadhana done today benefit all sentient beings, so that we achieve